Hello, and welcome to Ace Parenting Together. We're in our third episode. My name is Babak Saraje, and my co host here.
Hey, I'm Melissa LaPlante, excited to be back for another awesome episode.
So, today we decided to talk about setting boundaries. I think this is another topic that is much talked about, and it's a topic we would like to explore a little bit. And like we have talked in the past couple of episodes, find a third way moving forward. And so let me say what I think of boundaries. There are basically two sort of notions that are orthogonal to each other when people talk about boundaries. Sometimes they talk about boundaries basically as setting a limit for the behavior of other people and controlling their behavior. And I would say this is basically not so much different from uh, giving consequences or giving punishments, really. So this is in that category when you're trying to control someone else's behavior.
hmm
But boundaries, the common way and the proper way of talking about setting boundaries usually is about setting boundaries for yourself. This is my boundary. This is my personal territory, and I'm not going to let you just barge in through that boundary. So we would like to explore that a little bit, and it's really a common advice in a lot of sort of relationship management and in really when it comes to self-care to emphasize setting boundaries. Um, in parenting, there are programs that really emphasize setting boundaries and limits, setting it gently, kindly, healthy boundaries, lovingly. You can provide your own positive adjectives here. Um,
hmm
and the reasoning is that the kids actually love and want to have these limits because they feel safe or safer when we clearly show what the boundaries for their behavior are. What do you think, Melissa?
So that is such an important statement that you made because it is a popular belief that kids thrive on limits and boundaries. And you could make the argument that it is what they need to thrive, and how will they know different if I don't tell them? They can't learn these things if I don't set these boundaries or set these limits.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that. However, I do know that again, I when you set boundaries for a child, um, you're putting them in a position again where you are expressing your power over that person,
Mm-hmm.
over that child. And so the intention is important. You as a parent are desperately trying to parent your best way, and you want safety, and you want to know that your children know right from wrong.
That's right.
But the danger in that is that you miss some opportunities to be able to communicate with your child and connect with them about what is important to you, um, and why,
Right.
and be able to have those same results in addition to strengthening the connection when your kid truly understands why you can't right now drop everything and spend time with them.
That's right. Yeah. And like, because it's a power based approach, um, like you said, it actually runs all those dangers of a power-based approach, right? For example, let's say my child is not cleaning up the toys that, she was cleaning up, maybe a small child, a 3-year-old child who's not cleaning up the toys in the middle of the room, right? If I come in and say, no, this is not acceptable to me and you're going to do it right now, I'm basically exercising my power. You can say that you're setting a boundary, but in a sense, you're controlling that child's behavior right in the spot without really talking to them, seeing what is needed, expressing your own feelings. None of that is processed in that approach, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's difficult because again, we think when we're setting these boundaries and when we're telling our kids what they need to do and that it needs to happen now, that it's helping them,
Right.
when in fact it it's not.
Hmm.
It's not giving them a chance to communicate their own needs. And you know, the generations prior to us, um, you can hear them talk about kids being seen and not heard. You know, all those
Right.
sayings that they've had about kids, which we know through research, much research, that children thrive on being heard and not
Absolutely.
necessarily being punished or limited in their ability to be an active part of a family unit and
That's right.
making things run smoothly in a family.
Yeah, yeah. I would say children thrive on exercising their agency, knowing that they have an impact, that they are valued, that their needs, their wants, their wishes are actually part of the decision making. However, it's important to say that it's not the only thing, right? So we're not saying that kids should run the family. Absolutely not, because they're not the only one in the family. And there are other people, parents, siblings, other people in the family whose needs and wishes and preferences are also important. So when it comes to setting boundaries as a way of saying, oh, this is my, place, my territory. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be pushed around beyond this boundary. Um, we're actually saying that you want to assert your own needs, right? And you want to um, express what you want in this moment at this place. And of course, you need to be able to assert that. So everybody, we want to be able to assert their needs and reasons and be heard.
Yeah, for sure. I'm listening to you describe, setting boundaries, and what dawned on me as you were saying that is that, I had to set a boundary um, in doing this. What's so cool is I was able to use the I statements for preventative and also um, a declarative to let them know early this morning when we had breakfast. I let my husband and my son know, hey, listen, I don't know if you remember, but today at 4:30, I'm going to be doing the podcast with Babak. And oh yeah, that's right, you did that last week, yeah. So I gave them that preventative I
Mhm.
statement, right? And then reminded them as we got closer to the time, hey, listen, um, I'm going to need the house to be quiet so that we can do the appropriate recording. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that was a healthy way of getting my needs met
Absolutely.
without telling them what they have to do. I
Yes.
let them know what my needs were, and then I let those two figure out how they want to use that time. If they want
Right.
to if they want to be loud, or get out of the house, or
Yeah.
maybe well, it's Sunday, so I can tell you that they're watching football. But so, but it's so much more effective when I do use those confrontive I statements and declarative I statements and all of those things, those
Right.
techniques we use through PET.
That's right.
They work.
Yes, yes. So when the focus shifts from setting a boundary, which is this sort of negative, pushing other people out, and like basically, if they have any needs or anything, probably it's going to be ignored. I'm not going to listen, not going to be able to listen when I'm, focusing on setting a boundary. I express myself, like you just said, you express your needs, you express what you wanted to do, and then you can work it out to see what can be done. And lots of times, frequently, especially if you are doing this consistently and, people are trust that you can solve problems in this way and that relationship is strong as a result, people do want to help each other, and they like frequently come up with multiple different ways of helping each other, which I might not have even thought of. Like I can think of one thing, yeah, go, I don't know, go do this outside or whatever. And they may say, no, we want to do this and we will do it there. And, something that they're happy with, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I wanted to take a moment and sort of go through a couple of like real life examples. So we already talked about a couple of real life
Sure,
examples.
sure, yeah.
There are, when I talk to parents and also in class, but also in just friends and so on, there are some recurring examples that come up. So, for example, I've heard this multiple times that especially kids kind of like, 4, 5, 6 years old, around that age, where they're enjoying going to, say, the playground and they're like, they're having fun and they don't want to leave, right? At some point where when the parents want to leave. And you may even say, like you said, beforehand, set an expectation and say, at this time we need to go because we need to do some other stuff and so on. Now the time comes and you go and say, okay, time to go. Say, no, one more. I want to go do this. And they've run around and here's the parent sort of frazzled. They've done the best they could to set this up. And here's the kid running around, not listening at all. Yeah. Do you have a way of handling this?
Yeah, that's such a common experience. How do I get my kid to go when we need to go? This you can relate this to trying to get out the door, to get
Absolutely.
to school on time, and then you get to work on time. And
Right.
I think again, when you see that pushback from the kids, I'm not going, right?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yep.
And you want to jump into, what, well, why do I have to go? And because I said so, right?
Right.
Again, these are these
Easy.
natural responses. Because I said so, because I have authority over you, right? And again, it's such a fine line, because I also don't, I want to be clear that the response we have through parent effectiveness training is not a permissive response by any means. It's
Mhm.
not letting the child rule. It is a different way, and a more positive, collaborative way to get the child to express themselves, to meet your need, and also for you to listen to them and meet their need, right?
Right.
And I think that it is it a lot more work sometimes, because it takes a lot of work
Yeah.
and practice to do
Yep.
this, on a regular basis. But it's so much more effective. And,
Yeah.
and and so in that situation, trying to leave the playground, um, you can use something as simple as, who can get to the car faster, or what animal do you want to pretend we're going to be on the way to
Right.
the car, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're shifting the focus from the fun ending. And I'm not saying not and I'm not saying to ignore the problem, because you do want to communicate, I know that
Hmm.
you are really having a great time here.
Hmm.
I have to get home so that I can make dinner. The rest of the family is expecting us. Okay.
Right. Right.
Um, and so that's where you get creative as a parent,
Right.
to turn it from something negative um, to something more positive, in a
Right.
transition out of a fun zone. I get it.
Absolutely, right. They're having fun, and here I come, and I say, "Nope, that's it. No more fun." And of course, it's very natural to want the fun to continue, right? And so I like, the suggestion. So maybe instead of coming in and say, sort of, here's the end of fun, and we're gonna go, and like be very, severe and, maybe sort of threatening in that posture, right? That
Yeah.
if you don't listen to me, I'm gonna like grab you and take you or whatever, which is why probably they're running away. It's great to show them that it could be fun. We can still have fun and continue on. Now, it may work, right? It may not. Maybe they will push back still and run away. At which point you might say, yeah, I see. So they're communicating, like you said, that they don't want the fun to end. So you can communicate that back. That's active listening, right?
Right.
To let them know that you understand. And at the same time, or shortly after, you want to say, and I also have a need. I would like to get home to do the other things that that we want to do. And I do see you. I want you to have fun. So can you tell me how else you can have fun, right? In the car, at home. Is there something that we can do that is still fun for you? And I can also get to do what I want to do and what I need to do.
And I think sometimes too, that's so true, Babak, because I think, sometimes it's as simple as they're truly enjoying the one-on-one time with us, right?
That's
So
right.
we've taken that child to the playground. And so something as simple as I see that you are really upset to end this time.
Hmm.
Um, and you really are loving being just with mommy or daddy
Hmm.
by yourself,
Hmm.
aren't you? Right?
Right.
I wonder if we could pick the next time we're going to do this.
Right.
Um, I could do this again Thursday
Hmm.
or or the weekend, and so you're giving them age appropriate
Right.
explanations of how you can let them know that you recognize that this is fun and special to them, and you also don't want it to end. And um, let me just for sure let you know that it won't, because we'll plan the next one so you have something to
Absolutely. Right.
anticipate.
Right. Recognizing those feelings and let them know that really you're on their side. You also want to have fun with them
Absolutely.
and you have other things to do. And here is the way that we can move forward together. That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Um, Maybe one more example for an older kid. So,
Yeah.
um, this could be common, especially for, preteen, tween, sort of maybe even teenagers where they start to be like, yeah, I don't want to do this. So they're pushing back, they're exercising more of their independence, right? And it could be, house jobs, chores, or, you want to go out and spend time with family. They say no. Um, uh, what are you gonna do there? Are you gonna say, nope, I said this and this is, important to the family and we're gonna do this all together? Is
Yeah.
that a good way to go?
So, um, I think we could both say, from the experiences we've had, and also to those listening, that it's pretty fair to say that exerting our power maybe gets the job done, but in the long run can create, and especially in that really vulnerable preteen to teenage years, can
Yeah,
just create a sense of resentment, because you didn't even ask um, their opinion on what's
right,
happening,
right.
and give validate the fact that they have feelings, emotions, and a life of their own, right?
Absolutely.
um,
Right.
so I think that you know that pushback just creates a barrier in the connection, and it's why so many parents of preteen to teenage years, their biggest complaint is, I don't feel connected to my kid.
Yeah,
They just don't want
that's
to talk to me. They don't want to be around, um, and it's important to recognize where that's stemming from.
That's right. That's right. So there may be some previous experiences and years of, doing parenting in a different way. I want to say two things. One is that it's never too late to change. Um, Even if, your teenager now is in a situation where you don't feel really connected that well, um, it's never too late. You can always express genuinely that you want things to change and you're doing something different and approach that. There may be some mistrust. There may be some, pushback on that too. But if we are serious about that, then they will also see that it's genuine, and eventually, things will move forward. And the other thing is that, you know, power, especially physical power, might work with a 3-year-old, right? I mean, 3-year-olds are also fierce and they can push back and kick and cry and
Yep.
throw tantrums, but it certainly doesn't really work anymore with a 15-year-old. And my 15-year-old is towers over me and is weightlifting every day, so he can actually lift me up probably in his hand.
Well,
Now,
imagine.
yeah, because there is a lot of emotional power as well. I mean,
Of
I'm
course.
his father, right? And so
Sure.
So the other way to go is to exercise a lot of emotional power and force, and that's where things get really hairy.
Yeah. Because no matter what type of power we're trying to utilize, um, it's going to be damaging to the relationship between you and your kid, because and in particular those teenage years, because they really
Right.
want to feel validated. They want they're really beginning to explore who they are as a
Hmm.
person. And when what they have to say about a particular, family event, or a particular family vacation, or any incident that's involving in the family, when they're heard, when their opinion um, is validated, we're more likely to get a child to want to meet our needs as the parent,
Hmm.
because we have shown them consistently that that's what we're doing for them. And like you said,
Good.
at first, if you're making a change in your parenting style, there's going to be some possible pushback, in potential particular with the preteen and teenage, like worrying, they're this is different, and can I
Yeah,
really trust mom and dad?
that's
But
right.
I think the more vulnerable we are with our emotions and our human qualities, um, the the better the connection will be, um, and in particular during those preteen and teen years.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the real message here is when you reject physical and emotional power, exercise of power on your children, and just think about, for example, doing that with a friend. It doesn't really make any sense, right? What remains is the strength of that bond, the connection that you can work on day in, day out, right? And building the trust that we are really here together, and this is a life that we have together. We want to help each other. We want to enjoy each other's company and really build this connection, because that is the thing that will keep the relationship going. And that's why I would do anything for any friend, right? If my friend calls me, I
Right,
would I would not say, okay, I'm going to do this because you're going to do that. And, there's not really a calculation like that going on if it's a
right.
true friendship.
Hmm.
And the reason I'm doing that is that I care about my friend. And
Absolutely.
if, of course, if I have a problem, they care about me, and they will come to my help.
Sure. Definitely.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this is probably a good place to stop for this episode, and we'll come back with more interesting and real life examples, of course, themes and topics in future episodes.